Hello and welcome to another episode of Kawfee Tawk. Grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, or grab a freaking martini. This is going to be a freaking doozy episode. It is 2 days after Christmas. There's a lot of baggage I got to get through. Happy mother effing New Year. I hope that you've had the greatest couple of days, because I'll be honest, I haven't. And we're gonna go through. This is going to be an unhinged episode, guys. It's just me today. I know I've had amazing guests the past few weeks. I had Justine Huang, who was the drunk New York City Marathon girl. I had Dominic Raphael, who I grew up with, who's an amazing producer and agent. We talk a lot about Broadway and family trauma. And then I had Jordan Diggory, who is on the national tour of the Broadway play musical Come From Away. And I'm ready to do one solo this week because I have a lot to talk about. And I don't think I've been completely honest with you guys. So let's jump the F in, okay? First off, let's take a sip. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm drinking today. Also, for my visual watchers, how cute is this cup? It came in a pack of 2, but Daniel broke one, which is fine. But he broke like 3 of my mugs in a week one time. I was like, sir, are you okay? Are you like snorting a substance behind my back? Like what's going on? But I love seeing like the layering of like a good old fashioned latte. This, I put toasted marshmallow flavoring in it. It's like crack. I know they say that like sweeteners in your coffee is absolutely horrific. Honey, I don't care. I don't care. Okay, I'm not going to die from something that's not supposed to kill me. And if I'm going to die with a really great flavored coffee. I don't care what anybody says. I'll cut back on like heavy cheese or like over-processed foods. Don't ever ask me to cut back on my coffee. How dare you? Jail, sinister, devilish behavior. Really? Really? We have Kraft mac and cheese sold in the United States, which any other place on the planet, it's probably illegal. You know that you can't call Kraft American cheese. That's why they're called Kraft singles. I learned this in acting school, of all places, because you learn how to be a freaking liar. So they told me, they were like, Kraft singles is actually named Kraft singles because they cannot say Kraft singles American cheese because it legally does not have enough amount of real cheese in it to be labeled as cheese underneath the FDA. Isn't that psychotic? Anyways, so I'm going to continue to put sweet and low in my coffee and toasted marshmallow. I was going to call it seasoning, sauce, or sweetener. I don't care what you say. I feel good. I feel great. And like I said, look at the layering. It reminds me of when I worked at this like psychotic Italian spot on the water in Merrick on Long Island. And like they had these cups like this. That's what it's reminding me of. Anyways, let's take a sip. Sorry, I just went on a rant. Hold on. That's what this entire episode is going to be about. So if you're in this car, if you're in a car, if you're with some friends, if you want to listen to some unhinged business, this entire episode is going to be a whole lot of that. I'm excited to get this off my chest, honey. I'm really shooting for it to be like, hopefully 45 minutes, hopefully, because I hate editing my episodes. It really is kind of annoying. I don't want to go through every second, but baby, this is going to be a doozy. Oh, and the coffee freaking slaps. We do have a new camera today. I got a camera for Christmas. So we're trying something new out, Wow, that is delicious. Go me. Okay, guys, like every episode, I like to kind of kick it off with an affirmation to get something kickstarted in your day, in my day. I always say to you, I hate feeling like I'm just another chick with a podcast because that's really annoying. I want you to leave every single episode feeling like you got something from it or feeling like you feel a little lighter or you got like a pep to your step a little bit. So I'm going to say this affirmation that I heard the other day, and I got this new planner and I plan on filling up this entire first page with just affirmations for whenever I need it. Because I feel like it's really important. You should always have affirmations just like go back to, because they really do work. It's so crazy. Like if you would have told me a few years ago, like, yeah, you're going to say things to yourself in the mirror and it's going to like lift your energy, I'd be like, how about you smack me in the face and put me in an insane asylum, all right? Tie me up. But this is the affirmation we're going to start with today. So I'm going to take a super deep breath in because damn it, I freaking need this affirmation. Okay, take another deep breath in and breathe through your nose and out of your mouth. I decide that it's all possible and my success is inevitable. I decide that it's all possible and my success is inevitable. I decided. Say that to yourself a few times and really try to like connect with it and try to make it understand. You try to make yourself understand it for who you are and what you're going through. It is so true that we do get to decide a lot of all of our outcomes. Sometimes they don't happen the way that we want to, but we always get blessings and packages that we don't always prefer. And there's so many things I want to talk about in this episode, and I almost don't even know how to dive into it. But this past year, has made me think about a lot. And since we're rounding out 2024, which I can't even believe I'm saying that, it's really got me reflecting. And there's a piece of me that feels like I have this daunting feeling of failure looming over my head. There's this trend on TikTok right now, for those of you girlies and girl gays and theys that are on TikTok, that people are like, oh, feeling like I never accomplished anything in 2024. And then you move to the next slide and they're like, but I got sober, or, but I cut off this family member, but I did this for myself. And it's good to reflect and to find the positives when you're feeling down on yourself. But this year, I really felt a crazy burnout. It feels like I'm still in 2023. And I remember saying to myself this time last year, by next year, you're going to have this, and you're going to have an agent, and you're going to have this going for you, and you're not going to be struggling with this money, and you're not going to be worried about this and that and the third. And so many of the things that I should have been past or I should have accomplished didn't happen for me this year. So what do we do when that happens? What do we do when we feel like we're not in the place that we want to be? And I've talked about this a lot in the podcast because, there's a lot of influencers and content creators that have podcasts and that are on social media that you do always see the wins. And as a content creator like myself, who feels like the death of TikTok is also like looming over me, I am scared because I am not like these other influencers or TikTokers or content creators or artists yet that makes so much money, and I kind of resent myself for that because I'm like, girl, you should be at this point. You should be. So what's wrong with me that I'm not doing it? I'm seeing people blow up doing stupid things, and I'm like, what about me is overthinking and overanalyzing and halting my own success? So I have to decide that my success is inevitable. I have to decide, because I didn't come this far just to come this far, and neither did you. This feeling of feeling like a failure, I think also comes up when I spend a lot of time around my family, because I think a lot of my family, especially on my dad's side, I'm the youngest first cousin on my dad's side, and I'm kind of the baby, and all my cousins got babies. And, sometimes I feel like a lot of my family wants me to fail, not in a intentional or malicious way, but I feel like, people don't really understand me in my family. And I'm sure you guys can relate to this. Like when you're somebody in a traditional family that goes the path less traveled, you feel this pressure to kind of do better than others. Or at least sometimes I do, or do better than their expectations, because sometimes they're questions of like, so what are you doing? So what's going on? Are you still doing that singing thing? Are you still doing that TikTok thing? Are you still doing that content creator thing? It feels almost like, oh, I guess it's not working. Oh, well, what are you going to do? And after a while, I'm like, ugh, I can't share my successes with you because they don't understand the path that you're on. So they won't get the successes that you got. And being with my family this past weekend, it brought to light my issues with my dad. And this, I guess, should be kind of the major first topic that we touch today. This, like I said, this episode's going to be all over the place. It is. I'm sorry. I'm not a structured girly. I can't be. I gotta let this word vomit get out of me, or else I'm never going to be able to heal. My relationship with my dad is a tough one because I love my father. And you guys know how dearly I love my mother. And I have such a passion for my family. But around my birthday, an incident happened between myself and my father that was very reminiscent of how I grew up. And I just kind of put my foot down and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I moved out at 17, 18. I would have moved out at 14 if I could. I dreamt of leaving. I remember some of my earliest memories were just like so, oh God, I'm not going to get emotional. Pull it together. Okay. Some of my earliest memories were really negative about my parents' relationship and whatever, but my parents have this like really cutesy, adorable honeymoon-like phase in their 60s. And it kind of messes up my idea of love, even though I have such a beautiful love with Dano. And every time I come back to my house that I grew up in and I see little glimpses of the toxicity that I grew up in, it brings me back to that person that I was. Who I am in my day-to-day today, in living in Manhattan, living uptown, living with the love of my life. I am not that girl that I was when I grew up on Long Island. I'm not. And I just, on Thanksgiving, I felt like things really came to a boil. I felt like I was being pulled in 12,000 directions. And I felt so frustrated. And I saw this TikTok that really kind of explained what I was feeling. And this girl was talking about how all of a sudden you're the upholder of traditions, you're the vibe maker, you're the one coming up with decisions about holidays, and you're turning into a matriarch right before your own eyes, and you don't even know it. My brother, God help him, my brother, he's expecting a child any day now with my sister-in-law, and he didn't offer to help once. But my parents didn't even look to him to ask for help. Like he was sitting on the couch that like he grew up sitting on, like he was a guest, and I was running around the house setting up everything. I don't live in that house. I have not lived in that house longer than he hasn't. And like from my godmother, my aunt, and my cousins, and like everybody just Diana. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I became so overwhelmed that I was like, screw it, I'm getting drunk. And Christmas comes around, and like, I had set up a boundary with my father at this point after my birthday, after he kind of ruined something around my birthday. And I told him like, we're not going to have a relationship if you don't go to therapy. And I think, like always, he kind of doesn't take me seriously and is hoping like, oh, I can just kind of charm my way and she'll just like, it'll blow over. And I told myself, like, I'm not going to let him do that. I'm not going to let him charm his way out of this and let this blow over because it's really important to me. Like, I cannot live my life like this. This is the only thing in my life that's causing me immense amount of anxiety, making me feel like I'm a failure, is my relationship with my dad because of the things he does and says to me. And, Christmas was great. It was a good time. And, the cycle happened right before my eyes. He like charmed his way back into my emotions, and my barrier was down, my boundary was down. And then yet again, another trip to my parents ended in a fight. And I was just like, how am I going to get out of this without like cutting off my parents? Because I know my father loves me. That's not the case. But, I said to my mom we had some like choice words while she was driving me back to the train so that I can get back into the city. And, I just feel so depleted. And a lot of my dad's opinions, they like stay with me right here. So in 2025, I really just gotta like shed the expectations of what my life is supposed to be like or was supposed to be like at this age. And I hate that I'm like this stereotypical like girl in her mid to late 20s being like, oh my God, 30 is approaching and like I haven't done what I needed to do. But that is internally how I feel. And I'm sitting here telling you guys like age is just a number. Like all of these people are successful in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. And I myself like cannot like put that in my body for some reason. I cannot accept that. I am not making peace with that thought. I'm having so many negative thoughts. And then this is just like some added bullshit, but I took a meeting at my parents' house yesterday, which is why I was there for so long. I would have left earlier if I didn't have a meeting that I could have taken from the comfort of my phone and like in my jammies. But I took this meeting and it was so disappointing. Like the meeting was so disappointing. So the fact that I got into this argument with him and my, the uncomfortability at my parents' house. And then I took a meeting that was super disappointing and I didn't get, I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear. I was like, God, like what does this mean? What does this mean? So I got back into the city and I was just talking to Dano, my saving grace. And we get into the house. This is the silver lining, guys. This, I don't even know what the word silver lining means, but I feel like this is where you would use it. I get into my apartment. I order myself some Mexican food. And I'm like, oh God, why do I feel like I'm gonna get emotional, bro? I'm trying to hold in my tears like the whole way back to my apartment. None of the subways were working for some reason. I think like the universe knows, like I love to cry in public. Like if there's one thing about me, if you see me crying in public, like, no, you didn't. Just kidding. Yes, you absolutely did. That was me. I love it. Crying in New York on the New York City subway is the most healing thing you'll ever do. You're crying and like every once in a while, like first of all, nobody gives a shit that you're crying. It's amazing. It's so freeing. That's why I tell people, I'm like, if you don't like this city, that's a personal choice, but like there's nowhere else in the world that you can cry hysterically, bawl in public and people are just going to be like, I get it. Every once in a while, in the midst of people ignoring you, somebody will like hand you a tissue. They're like, keep your head up. And it's so real. They're like, I can't help you in this moment, but here's a tissue just to let you know that somebody cares. Good luck. It's so amazing. And so I'm like tearing up on the subway platform, but I'm like, nope. I really didn't want to cry yesterday over this because I'm like, how many times am I going to go through it? I get home, let out like a little tear. Dano walks in the door about an hour and a half later. He brings the mail because we haven't been in the house for a few days. Dano went to work yesterday morning and left my mom's house like hours before me. He gets the mail. It's two letters addressed to both him and I, our own separate letters from the same company. For why? We're not married. We're not married. So why are we getting two letters addressed to both of us at the same address? That's very odd. We don't really have the same bank accounts. We have nothing. Me and Daniel, I guess we're a part of a class action lawsuit. And as me and Dano were a part of a class action lawsuit, unbeknownst to us. And the day after Christmas, we get checks in the mail for $1,000, for $1,100. Him and I both. He got one for, I think, $1,200. I got one for like $1,100. Frickin' Merry Christmas. God is good. Literally hours earlier, I'm writing affirmations in my planner saying like, my success is inevitable. Abundance flows to me easily and effortlessly. I decide that my success is inevitable. I decide it. I know great things are coming to me. And then I walk in my house, Daniel brings a letter to me and it's a check, free money. Thank you. Class action. Class action? Sign me up for a few more. Thanks so much. It was from this service Dano and I had used like a few years ago to help, basically the service like takes off any negative markings off your credit report. So it'll help fight like marks that have been on your credit report for like 6 years. Like they'll fight and they'll get it off for you just to like lift your credit score if you're looking to like, just to perfect your credit score if you're looking to move, which we were looking to do at the time before we got this apartment. We might have to call them back up again because I'm ready to get the hell out of this one too. It's been like 4 years here. But yeah, so that was so funny that I was like, wow. I was so upset and all of a sudden, I got a check for $1,100 for simply existing. Don't tell me manifesting doesn't work, baby. Do not tell me. It was the most incredible thing ever. And him and I, we were laughing because we went to church 2 times this week. First time we went to church was to check out a new one. I just going through my own thing with my spirituality. I'm trying to figure it out. And then the second time was for Christmas Day. We went with my mother, which she was so pleased about. And so me and Dana were like, we kept cracking jokes like, hey, God is good. God is good. Because you know how like the worst people on the planet are always like getting up on stage. My brother says this. My brother doesn't believe in God anymore. We'll see. But like, he always says like people get up on stage, like football players or like musicians that are like pieces of garbage human beings. And they get up on stage when they're accepting awards. They're like, I just want to thank God. God is good. And like, you're a horrible human being. What do you mean God is good? You're sick in the mind. Like you deserve horrible things always. And we're always laughing like, God is good, right? God is good. Because it's like a little placebo effect sometimes, even though I am a very spiritual girly. So we were cracking up. God is good. And it was just like a really great way to end a very horrible day. And I just have to... I got to dive deeper into what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling it. It being the black sheep of the family, my dad doesn't like that I say that. I'm like, I wear that as a badge of honor, but he doesn't like it. He thinks that somehow it's a dig against him. And I'm like, well, if the shoe fits. No, it's not a dig against him. I understand the life that I live is different than what our family is used to. And it's scary for people that aren't used to it. And that's okay. That's all right. I didn't understand it a few years ago, but now I do, and that's all right. So yeah. I just got a cute text message. So yeah, I had a tough time this weekend and reflecting on my 2024. This just makes me extremely motivated for 2025, and 2025 needs to be the year. I feel like I'm so sick and tired of getting told no. Of getting told, maybe, of being told that like, it's just not working or I don't deserve it or people not seeing my worth. But then later on people being like, Diana, you're so amazing. Diana's killing it. I'm tired of doing things alone. I'm tired of not having a team or an agent. I'm tired of booking myself and researching other things and like learning how to, do everything. I know how to do literally everything when it comes to my career, and I'm kind of exhausted and tired, and I feel like because I'm doing everything at once, nothing is really pushing out ahead. So this year is the year of getting help, maybe getting an assistant, maybe getting an intern, and definitely getting like an agent or representation that I trust. I think that's been my goal for a long time, is to like have somebody help me build what I've already basically built. Like somebody come along with the ride that's like smarter than me. But like I said, not to like drone this on forever, because I do want to get to the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni of it all. But the last thing that I will say that I've realized I'm really getting stuck in the middle of when it comes to my family after like reflecting 2024 is that I have now become the filter. I am the filter for everybody's grievances. I am the only one, apparently, this is not my opinion. This is what all of you crazies have apparently decided, is that I'm the only effective communicator because you got to go through me to talk to somebody else when it comes to anything. You scream and yell and bitch and moan at me in order for me to translate it in a nicer, softer, sweeter, better, more communicative way to the person you actually are aiming it towards. And it's very exhausting. And listen, many people have called me an empath. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not self-labeling myself that, but that's what other people have called me. Their description of that for how I feel when I'm listening to other people, I guess would be accurate. And it's exhausting. And I realize like I'm the filter, I'm the communicator, I'm the middleman, I am the glue. And so in 2025, I got to learn to just say, not my monkeys, not my problem, not my business. That's your beef, not my beef. So that's something I guess I'll unpack with a therapist that I haven't hired yet. But let's get to the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively of it all, because this is pop culture. But it's so important to talk about like what's going on in our society when it comes with women. I feel like we are really 100 years later, from the 1920s to the 2020s, we have really gotten this kind of whole suffragette misunderstanding or understanding or fight for women kind of all misconstrued. And it's very psychological now. So let me break it down for those of you who don't know what's going on. This tea is piping hot and I'm ready to dive in. So buckle up. Next subject. Okay. So for those of you who do not know, It Ends With Us is a movie that was released, I would say in August, based on a book written by Colleen Hoover. I've read the book. I read the book an entire day. It's like a chick flick in book form, okay? It's not like the most, poetic book you've ever read, but it's like a book it's a page turner because you're like, oh, it's got everything for shock factor, right? It's got some cute elements to it, like the writing to Ellen, which if you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. But it also is mainly about domestic violence. I had no idea what the book was about before I read it. And then when I read it, I like turned from one page to the next. I was like, ooh, this is a sexy little book. Like, ooh, I'm getting feeling a little hot and steamy. I'm feeling a little tingly down under. And then the next page, my girl was getting rocked. And I was like, oh, okay. Tingles have gone away very quickly. And so it was a page turner. They turned it into a movie. Justin Baldoni, who was a director, I actually don't know if he's known as a director because I know him just kind of as being an actor on Jane the Virgin, which I've never seen, but also as being a podcaster and kind of like a lot of his brand is very anti-red pill, very women ally, very feminist male, okay? And when I say anti-red pill, if you know what red pill content is, it's just like alpha male content where the guys are like, women are meant to serve us and be submissive, and like you can never find good women in America in Western society these days. Meanwhile, like they got crust in between their ass cheeks because they've never cleaned in between there because they think it's gay. Like, stop. Up yours. So Justin Baldoni has like made this kind of brand for himself of not only an actor and a director, but a very like kind of like the model man. Like he's very attractive, he's successful, he respects women, he loves his wife, he's very open about how much he loves his wife and his children. And one of his co-hosts, Liz Plank, is like just a dope chick, like super feminist, super dope. Very, very intelligent. And he comes off as very intelligent. Now, he's the director of this movie with Colleen Hoover, who is the author of the book, and Blake Lively is brought on as the lead girl to play Lily Bloom. Hate that name of the character, by the way, but whatever, Lily Bloom. In my opinion, Blake Lively's way too old to play the character. I would never say this about a woman, but unfortunately, I do feel as though it is important to the context of the story. In any other role of a fictional story, I don't care about your age. I think that it's ridiculous to care about a woman's age. But for the context of the story, I didn't think it made sense. But whatever. Blake Lively, she's always looking young. She's a gorgeous woman, so it doesn't matter. But for me, I was like, okay, interesting choice. Blake Lively comes in as a producer. There had been rumors in August that there was situations on set when the movie was released because it was very clear that these two did not like each other in public. Like they were not taking any pictures together. The entire cast unfollowed Justin, but the crew came out in support of Justin. I remember somebody released a letter that he sent to the crew that was so kind and honest. And then as this whole thing is kind of unraveling during this release of this very serious movie, people are picking Justin's side. Because from our vantage point, it looks like Blake Lively is making this like very serious topic of domestic violence and marketing it as like a chick flick, marketing it as not a chick flick, a rom-com. She's like, wear your flowers. And she's like promoting some sort of hair product she has. And like, everybody's in pink and like she's making it seem very happy when the movie apparently is very serious. So people are like, Blake, girl, what are you doing? Like Justin Baldoni really cares. Look at him caring. And the entire internet flips on Blake and people start resurfacing old interviews of her of the ways that she's like being really disrespectful to an interviewer. The entire internet is like, wow, always had a bad feeling about her, which this is why I always say like the internet is not real, because people just love to be a part of something. It's sport. It is sport. It is entertainment. It is merely an activity. Okay. It is not real thought, because if a woman was in front of you, you would never say that stuff to a woman in front of you. But people find it so easy to like hate on women, right? Months later, it comes out a few days ago last week that Blake Lively is suing Justin Baldoni for sexual harassment. And I'm like, sexual harassment? Hold up. This girl released the court documents are released, including text messages from the PR firm, which was the crisis management company firm that Justin Baldoni hired in order to handle the situation surrounding the movie. And these text messages were like Justin Baldoni blatantly asking to burn Blake Lively. He was using, he sent a picture of a headline that was a scathing headline about Hailey Bieber and was just like, this is what we would need, talking about Blake Lively. And then there's text messages between, I guess, the people at the firm or the assistants talking bad about him and saying like, wow, it's really sad to see how good this campaign against Blake Lively is working, because it shows how much people really just want to hate on women. They're so excited to hate on women. And the text messages were so incriminating that everybody's like, whoa, we got duped. And it really kind of pulls the veil out from over you of like, wow, we really got flipped. But this is my hot take on the whole situation. This is and has always been the same type of dirty PR that has always been performed. This type of takedown PR campaign is not new. It's not invented. It's not a new concept. Women and men have both done these things. But Blake Lively was smart enough to somehow get these text messages and pull them out. Now, there's a big conversation saying, you know, oh, she's lying, or oh, he's lying, or he's never had issues against him. And people always complain about Blake on set or wherever she is. And to that, I agree with the other half of the internet that says just because she might not be that great of a gal doesn't mean that she deserves this type of crazy misogynistic attack against her. Because if we think that, then that is telling men that it's okay to disrespect women when they're not that great of a person. They're an easier target for you to go after if other women don't like her. And that is not right. That I do not stand for. Now, my whole confusion about this case was, how the hell is this sexual harassment? Because it's talking about, for me, it seems like it's talking mostly, it felt like more like a defamation case, like talking badly about her almost. How is this sexual harassment? And I guess he had made comments about her body, walked into her dressing room unannounced, maybe when she wasn't fully clothed, made comments about his past porn addiction, like unwelcome comments. And there was a big strike, SAG strike, writer strike, where no productions were operating during this strike. But before they went back in, when the strike was over, they had this big meeting. Blake Lively brings in her husband. Now, there's a lot of mixed opinions about bringing your husband in, because the rumors were, and this hasn't been disputed, that he came in and like rewrote scenes and kind of took control on a film that he was not a part of. And I'm sure he probably felt like he had to step in as a husband, but it definitely doesn't look good from the outsider's point of view. But they had this meeting and she had a lot of points that she wanted to be met and a lot of needs that she wanted to make sure were met as well. So she kind of set up all of these bullet points, like, this needs to be done or else I'm not coming on set. This needs to be done or else I'm not coming on set. He can't talk like this. He can't say this and that, which I feel like I want more context to the situation, and I'm sure we will get it. But it is a very interesting thing to witness a woman having such flip-flopped opinions about her. How much of this is calculated from his end and from her end? And I think that the truth is probably, it's always is somewhere in the middle, because there's three sides to every story. But it really is something to watch, how we've been very manipulated to dislike somebody. And, I said this going back to the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp case. People were so obsessed with Johnny Depp. And I remember saying it online, like, listen, even though Amber Heard might be a crazy, weird woman, Johnny Depp is still a monster. And people are like, he didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, did you see those videos of him? That's a sick man. That's a sick man. Make no mistake, like, that is still a sick man. And look what happened. He's in a what? He's in a freaking Dior commercial. A global Dior commercial for a fragrance named, wait for it, Sauvage, as in savage. You have a man that is literally, there is video evidence of him being a psychotic, addictive, toxic man in his toxic marriage that was very abusive and very, very publicly dismantled amongst talking about abuse. And you give him a national global commercial worth millions for Dior for their fragrance called Savage in French. I don't even know if it's Savage in French, but it's sure freaking spelt like it. And I think it's crazy because he somehow came out on top. When both of them, to me, seem very sick and twisted in the head and like they need some mental help and institution seeking assistance. But I think it's really interesting to watch how this plays out. Because Blake Lively doing what she just did, which I have no idea how she got these text messages, by the way. How were you able to get the text messages from Justin Baldoni to his assistants, to his PR firm, and then the PR firm assistants discussing things with each other, with Justin Baldoni not even in it? Like, what's that link? I'm interested to see, because they weren't subpoenaed. So I love that word. Subpoena. That's like one of those words that like you would name a child if you didn't know what the meaning was. Like, I love those. Sorry, I'm going off script here, but like, I love those like little posts where they're like, what's a word that you would name a child if it like wasn't associated with its definition? Like subpoena is really cute. Some chlamydia, malaria, vagina. Like, these are really cute names for children. So Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. So this is moments like this where I'm like, would I do good with a co-host? Like, I don't know if I'd be good because I say crazy psychotic shit like this. My point is, I find it interesting that Blake Lively now has kind of aired this out because, like I said before, this is traditional, like, savage PR marketing. Like, if you don't think that your favorite singer, artist, actor, socialite has done something similar, either for themselves or against another person, you have a sense of innocence that I am jealous of. Okay? But this was very interesting for me. And now, talking about some other stuff, moving on to some other womanly things that I gotta talk about this. I gotta air this out. I've been real keen. I've been real nice. I've been real cutesy about the whole Ariana Grande, Ethan Slater thing. But from one woman scorned to the next, we gotta talk about Miss Dr. Lily J, Ethan Slater's ex-wife, because she came out with an essay in The Cut recently, basically describing and giving her side of the story of how it felt for her to see her marriage basically dissipate in the public eye. And we got to talk about this because I read the essay, babes. I just sounded like my good friend Kat Capone there. Oh my God. I read the essay. It is gut-wrenching. Let me give you some spark notes, okay? Ethan Slater plays Bach in Wicked. Ariana Grande is Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande was married to Dalton Gomez. This girl, I feel, don't want to make any staunch judgments or anything. Because like, hey, Ari, would love to work with you, but I also want you to know that you don't need to seek your validation in men, which I feel and fear that she does. Personal opinion, from an outsider's point of view that does not know her. But I fear that for her because it seems as though every single relationship she's ever been in has somehow overlapped with that man's past relationship. And that seems a little sketchola to me, babe. And Ariana Grande was married, Ethan Slater was married to Lily J for 4 years. They'd been together for 10 plus years. They were high school sweethearts and they had a baby 2 months old. And then Ethan Slater left her for Ariana Grande. I don't care what you say. Oh, but they weren't cheating on each other. He didn't cheat on her with Ariana Grande. Whether it was physical or not, that's emotional cheating. There's no way that you go from being with somebody for 10 plus years and having a child with them that's only a few months old to then being with a global pop star within the next month. There's no way. There's no way. And I said this on my TikTok and I will say it again before I jump into the essay that Lily J wrote. Take Ariana Grande, the global pop star sensation, out of the equation. Ethan Slater leaving his postpartum wife when she moved to London to support his career, months after she has a child, and you've been together for over a decade, without Ariana Grande, you're trash. I'm sorry. Remove Ariana Grande from the situation. That part is not on Ariana because that was his choice. Okay? And ladies, that just goes to show it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how amazing a woman you are. It doesn't matter how loyal you are. If he's going to do that to you, that is his personal personality trait. That has nothing to do with you. Men as well. No matter how great a man you are, no matter how loyal you are, no matter how much you do for her, if she's willing to step out, that's a personality flaw. That's a character flaw. Nothing to do with you. And reading this woman's essay, when she said, because she's a psychologist that primarily has her own, women clients, talks about postpartum struggles with women, and she knows, due to her own research, that how vulnerable that postpartum era is for a marriage, for the couple. And she moved to London anyways during that time period, only to somehow see that, oh, their marriage has literally fallen apart. I would love to be in the room to hear his explanation. Like, could you imagine being in that room in during that argument? Like, I moved to London. When did this marriage fall apart? When I was birthing your child and having a life-threatening condition called preeclampsia. Before that, when you knocked me up, after you knocked me up, like when you saw Ariana Grande and all of the money that she was wearing on herself, truly, you can't help but think about those things. And the thing that I fear the most for Ethan Slater is that if this relationship doesn't last, which I think we all know probably it won't eventually, they're going to give it a hard freaking try though, because all this drama, you got to try to make it work. When this relationship doesn't last, I fear he's going to see the grass was not greener on the other side. And I fear for his mental health because damn. There's a whole lot of mess in this. Listening to Lily J's essay in The Cut was gut-wrenching. Her saying, this life that I believed I was going to have with my high school sweetheart isn't going to happen, but I know that the rest of my life awaits with my beautiful child. I'm butchering that quote, but she found a way to find the positive. And she said, days with my son are sunny and beautiful, but on the days that I can't escape the promotion of a movie that is associated with the darkest moments of my life, those days are darker. She's a very eloquent writer. If you have not read the essay, I would 1000% read a book from her. And she spoke at the White House in 2014. This girl has been girl bossing. She's been girl bossing even in her private life. I mean, it's hard to not feel for her. And honestly, she's better than me. She's better than me. No amount of money, no NDA would get me to not drag Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater through the mud. Wow. If any of my friends told me that their man left them 2 months after you had a child for some other girl because she was bright and shiny, we'd be on the front steps with pitchforks. Even though people don't do that anymore, I'd order some. And people don't do pitchforks, but I would order some on Amazon. I don't care if they're the Party City ones that come with the devil costume. I'm holding it for special effect, for dramatic cue. You're feeling the wrath, whether it feels embellished or not. I don't give a damn. And then I'll break your windshield. It is astonishing to me. And I know that there's like Ariana Grande fans that are like, no, it's not on her. There was no overlap. I don't care which way you twist it, fuck it, flip it. I don't care, bitch. I don't care. There's no way that you can go from being married between the both of them to not being divorced, but somehow being with each other within like a month. Everything overlaps. I'm sorry. It's way too messy. You can't convince me otherwise. I think they both, and also like Ariana Grande came out with a song saying yes and then she said, why do you care whose like dick I ride? Girl, you know what you're doing. I gotta say, like, I know you think you're fighting the public, but you're not thinking about this other woman. You know, it's the whole thing feels like very messy and very heavy and like a lot of pain for me. Dr. Lily J, though, I'm sure she's got a memoir coming. She's got a book deal that's probably valued at a couple millions of dollars. And I say, get your bag, sis, secure your future, secure your son's future and his college fund on the back and in spite of that man who did you wrong. Because you can like Ariana Grande all you want. She is not in this situation. In this situation, as much as Lily J says, like, the story is Ariana, my marriage is just collateral damage, which I think is a very interesting quote that you can dive into. You got, the personal choice was on Ethan Slater. Looking at their family, wow. But that quote specifically that she stated, a lot of people are like, no, they said that quote wasn't true. Let me clear the air on that, okay? It's not that the quote was not true. It's that she had redacted it, which does not mean that she didn't say it. It means that it was said, okay? But she was redacting it from the record because maybe she didn't word it right or whatever. That, when you redact something, it doesn't mean that it wasn't completely said. I might be butchering this. That might not be like the legal thing. But what could have happened was somebody could have been talking to her like as in a friendly way, an acquaintance of some sort, and she didn't know what on the record was. Okay, this is the story I heard, that she didn't know what on the record was. And when you say something on the record, that means that you can have your words used in a publication on the record, okay? So her saying, like, the story is not me, it's Ariana, and my family's just collateral damage, Ariana is not a girl's girl, is a direct quote, but she just didn't want that. Like, nobody would want that said, because it makes you sound, like, bitter, even though, girl, be bitter. You know what I'm saying? So, wait, guys. 1 second. I just got a text message. My sister-in-law's in labor. Hold on. I'm pausing. Oh, my brother's calling me. I'm cutting this. Guys, my sister-in-law is in labor. We're gonna have a baby. This is the first grandchild. This is for both my parents and her parents. This is the first niece-nephew. Well, niece. She's a niece. We know the gender. But this is the first niece for me. And this is so exciting. And it only makes this situation about Lily J even more enraging for me, because how could you do that to this sweet little unborn child? If my brother did this like a few months from now to my sister-in-law, which knock on every piece of wood up in this bitch, knock it on the wood floor, I would castrate him. Kill him. Death. This would turn Game of Thrones very quickly. Very, very much quickly. Goodness gracious. Yeah. So that's, I mean, for me, I could never imagine that. And I got pitchforks. That's what I'd be holding. Truly, truly, truly. I would be holding that shit on somebody's stoop, because truly, wow. Even just listening, you got to read the essay to really feel the gut-wrenching aspect of it. Like, I can only reiterate so much, but I was like, damn. And I just know Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater are shaking in their boots right now, thinking like, wow, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, I thought, and you know what I also think? I think that because she didn't mention Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater by name, specifically Ariana Grande though, people are saying like, oh, that's because she's so classy and she doesn't want it to be about, completely about Ariana or whatever, which I get that. But I also kind of feel like there might be a little bit of an NDA or a contract that's got some sniffy, fresh ink on it, okay? That might say that she can never publicly talk about Ariana Grande. That might be also happening. Because listen, like I said, she's better than me. She's better than me. Because that shit would be dragified. Oof. I do pray for the peace of her and her baby. Ethan Slater, no peace for you. No peace. No peace. Peace is going to cost at least $20,000 an ounce for you, hun. Ariana Grande, I pray for your peace at $5,000 an ounce. I do, because God knows you can freaking afford it. But I pray for your peace because something's going on with you, girl. Yeah, I do pray for your peace. And like, God bless her having a supportive family. But I do find it like very weird how, I don't know, like seeing somebody's family like so close with every single one of the men in her life, I guess just kind of like weirds me out a little bit. I'm like, how do you guys bounce? For me, I'm like so hyper emotional that it takes me so long to like not feel the heaviness of like a relationship with somebody that I can't imagine. I don't know, being that close with like a new person. Like I could never imagine being with if me and Dana were to break up this moment, I couldn't imagine being like in a full-fledged relationship with somebody tomorrow. Like I couldn't. Also because nobody could ever replace that man. I will die on this hill. If you can't brag about your partner, you don't like them enough. Okay. Nobody beats my man. No one. Well, guys, I feel like I've just kind of been totally taken out of it now that I just got this text message that my sister-in-law is in labor. I'm really freaking out right now. Really. I thought not to put her business out there, but her induction date was New Year's Eve. Today is my dad's birthday, which added that context to the beginning of this episode. That makes this super steamy and uncomfortable. Well, listen. If the baby's born today, that means that we have my dad's birthday and this baby's birthday on the same day. Wow. Her due date was New Year's Eve. Today is my dad's birthday. And then her induction date, no. Her due date was Christmas Eve. Her induction date was New Year's Eve. And then my dad's birthday is smack dab in the middle. And this might be the day that she's having the baby. That's really crazy. That's really crazy. How funny is that? My mind is completely gone now. I have to edit this episode now knowing that I'm going to get my first niece in a few hours. I don't even feel like this is real. I don't feel like it's going to be real until I'm going to see her. Oh my God, I'm going to teach her so much music. I'm going to teach her to be like the baddest bitch ever. I shouldn't say that about a baby, but like when she's old enough, when she's like 18 plus, I'm going to be like, girl, this is how you bad bitchify yourself and be like cool and confident. And like, I'll always teach her to be confident. Wow, my aunt brain is just like going. All right, guys, let's end this episode before I completely bore you to death and going a million miles a minute. They may need me to go out to Long Island really quick. Okay, so let's end this episode on a really solid, good note. I know the beginning was a little rough and rocky. Trying out this new camera. I've had some issues with it this episode. I may see if I can trade this camera for something different, even though I got this camera for Christmas. There are some issues with it that I'm noticing, but that's okay. That's all right. It's the thought that counts. We're going to see what we can do. You got to work with what you got, baby. And that's what we're doing. We're working with what we got. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful for all of you. We're going to grow this community in 2025 to something that we've never seen before. And I'm manifesting this now. Like I said with the affirmation at the beginning of this episode, let's read it again, class. Okay. I decide that it's all possible and my success is inevitable. I decide. And 2025, we're deciding that. No more, oh, I hope it comes to me. Oh, if I do this, then maybe it'll fall in my lap. No, go get it. Go get it and it will come. You got to put in that work to get it to come to you. You got to create the space around you that seems like it's the perfect spot for that abundance to sit and settle on. If your abundance is coming in the shape of a fucking bird, you got to make your branches and your tree look like the most appealing and welcoming tree to that form of abundance. If you're looking to get, a new job promotion, you're not going to be unqualified. You're not going to be understudied for your meetings. No, you're going to study and you're going to be qualified and you're going to be prepped so it looks obvious for that promotion to flow your way. Manifest it. Be the person that you envision yourself being with that opportunity. Wow. This coffee's kicking, baby. I've had like a pot of coffee today. You guys can follow me, all social media, Diana Badea Music. I have new music coming out in 2025. I've not been pushing my music really this past year because if I'm being honest, wasn't so proud of some of the stuff with this deal that I made with a company out in Europe, which you can find in a previous episode. Make sure you are sharing this podcast. Make sure you are subscribing to my Patreon to view the podcast. The more people on Patreon that we get, the easier it is for me to continue to carry out these episodes so that I can make sure I give you guys the best possible podcast because we don't have ads or monetization on Spotify. So I'm really just kind of raw dogging this whole thing, raw dogging the experience of this podcast. But if you support me and you support this podcast and you really want to be a part of the journey of where it goes, go ahead and be a subscriber on Patreon. For a monthly subscription. It would mean the absolute freaking world to me. I am going to start vlogging and putting it on Patreon. Everything goes on to YouTube about a week or 2 weeks later, but make sure you guys are following me and subscribing to me. And do not forget to follow me on Instagram, Diana Badea Music. If TikTok is gone, bitch, I'm screwed. Whew, don't worry. We're always going to land on our feet, but wow, I'm a little bit worried. So go ahead and follow me everywhere. I'm going to be an aunt. Oh my God, I'm going to be a little auntie. Auntie D. That's going to be me. Okay, I'm so excited. This doesn't feel real. I love you guys so much, so much. Don't ever forget to just believe in the version of yourself that you know that you deserve to be. Because that is the bitch that's going to dictate every single day all of your choices and all of your decisions. And that's who lives within you. So bring her out. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. So take another sip of your coffee, your tea, or your martini. This has been another episode of Kawfee Talk with your girl. I love you guys so much. Have a great day.